Showtime!
We're back with another one, guys. We're going to be talking about mentors and what possibly, you know, amazing advice they can give us in going into the new year, if any, and if they would be impactful or not. Yeah, D has broken down. He called it the 5 M's for this episode. The most memorable, memeable, mischievous, modern, and meaningful mentors in anime and beyond. But of course, we're going to start with our own backstory of like what we grew up with of mentors before we got into anime, and kind of break down, go into that. Mentors, D, tell me about it. What does a mentor mean to you?
What does a mentor mean to you? Look, this isn't a TED Talk, all right? We're
Okay,
not
all
doing
right.
this. We're not doing this. You're out of control. Bring it back a little bit. Uh, I, in all seriousness, I mean, mentors have great impact on your life, even if you don't call them that. You got somebody in your life that's been in your corner, taught you stuff at wherever you're at, school, work, life. Somebody's been there to kind of push you along, give you that extra bit of advice, or just show you what not to do through their own experiences. That's what mentors are. They're just somebody who's there that uh, teaches you the life lessons and skills that you didn't know you needed until you do need them. And man, do they come in handy? Because I can say personally, even just in my work life alone, I've had, managers and bosses like anybody else, and most of them are kind of like, whatever. They're there doing their job, they're there making
Tr-
money.
They're just trying to get through the day,
Yeah,
just like you, and they don't
yeah.
always have the best advice to give you. They're like, "Just do your
They
job."
yeah. Sometimes they're just there. But
They be
every now
like
and
that.
then you meet somebody who genuinely starts caring about your well-being,
Mm.
wants you to succeed, wants to help you grow, wants to see you do better, not just at your job, but in life in general. And those people I categorize as mentors. And I've had so many that have taught me things directly and indirectly that like I use in raising my children. I use in my work life today, and I use when I'm at home. So there's always gonna be somebody in your corner, even if you don't know it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, growing up, you used to call me senpai, all the time. That still
True,
holds strong. No, I'm
true
just kidding.
facts. Listen,
Um,
he was senpai, guys. Uh, the man had the deep cut VHSs of anime that I would not have gotten into if he didn't have, the fucking Blu-ray, the DVD. Like he had the deep pockets, if you know what I mean.
I had the deep pockets, or just my everlasting need to attain more and more and more anime and Pokemon cards and all these other things. But yeah, no, I have never, at least when I was younger, I never looked as myself as a mentor to anybody because I always felt like I had a very strong opinion about myself that I never had it together.
You? An opinion
No.
of yourself?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Oh, oh, oh.
Even though other people would say differently, I looked at my friends as mentors in a way. You know what I mean? Some people that had different attributes that I thought were strong in what they did, and maybe not learn from them. Like, like, hey, teach me how to be cool, man. How to be charismatic. How to talk the talk, walk the walk. How do I talk to a girl? You know what I mean?
Should have
That type
should
of
have done that.
adolescent shit.
Should
Yeah, I
have
should
did
have
it.
done that. But you know what? Luckily enough, in that department, I had it made, right? But
My man ate the Riz
yeah,
fruit.
I had the Riz fruit. Um, Yeah, it wasn't until probably my 30s where really I felt more mentory to the younger generation in the workforce and people online and video games and life lessons. And that wisdom really builds a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Those lifelong lessons really, builds a person that hopefully makes other people around you better and lifts them up, opposed than bring them down. That's the way I look at it. But we're talking about those people today, not really ourselves, but what I grew up with as a very young age. I mean, I can name just a couple: Master Splinter, Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, um, Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Um, Goes on and on, on and on.
He means his actual Uncle Phil, guys.
Yeah,
Don't let him
no,
fool you.
I don't have an Uncle Phil.
His very real Uncle Phil.
I wish I had an Uncle Phil. Why doesn't he want me, man? Um, yeah.
uh yeah, no, and that's exactly kind of what we're hitting on is like there's gonna be, those similarities, and you don't really like catch yourself like, oh, that guy was a mentor to me. Because I guarantee you those characters in those shows wouldn't have been like, "Ah, he was my mentor." It'd be like, "No, that's just Master Splinter. He's like our dad or whatever,
Yeah.
dude." Like, whatever. We don't have to like take what he says to heart until you take what he says to heart. And I think that's those examples are great, like so good. And I know we were talking like pre-show stuff. Like those specific pulls are like so iconic, like in Western culture. Like if you talk about a Yoda, people immediately know you're gonna be like waxing poetic about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no,
uh
you're right.
because, the wonderful thing about those like mentors is like they're very flawed in their own way, you know? Like, the picks that you have there is, like, a lot of the time they did divulge wisdom, but, like, we got to see them, like, make mistakes, be wrong, learn from the protagonist, um, and I think that's, like, a thing that carries over in, like, most media like that, um, and then you get into, like, anime and you can tell, like, this character was built as the mentor character. This character is meant to progress the protagonist's development in a specific direction. Um, and sometimes we get to see them fail, but sometimes we just get to see them die. So
Yeah. Yeah,
it's it.
Western media, that's a very, common trope that,
Oh yeah.
the mentor dies and then the protagonist goes off his lifelong journey to, either for revenge or just, be the next mentor to the next person or whatever. But yeah, yeah. I guess more of a grounded way, not the spectacular big mentors, but when I was growing up, a lot of my teachers were kind of, a lot of them didn't feel mentorish, but there was a couple that stood out that were definitely like my Mr. Feeney's to the world. And I didn't realize it until after, I was done with like that education. I was like, oh, wow, that person was really, really there for me in a way that sometimes your own family aren't, or your friends, or whatever. And in retrospect, it makes you really think, wow,
Mhm.
okay, in terms of storytelling, who are these characters that are they self-aware? Are they unaware? Or is it just part of the story? Is it, I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Um, I like when you kind of get the ambiguity, like you get the like is that their role? Or is it gonna be something more? Or is this
Yeah.
just like a almost like a cameo? They kinda disappear into the
Mm,
background after the arc or the
yeah.
story beat, and they're just not important, and I think that's kind of like why when I was coming up with this idea to, like, categorize it so, uh, that you hit, like, certain beats, there's certain things that you can latch onto, and you're like, "Okay, so this is their guy. This is gonna be their, like, I go back to this guy to learn something later in the story," and not just like, "Hey, "You're in a pickle. I knew your dad. Here's the thing to get past the thing. See ya to never again."
Yeah.
And that kind of runs the gambit um, when it comes to uh, some anime. I see it in Western media pretty frequently. Of like they'll introduce a guy who knows the skill, teaches the skill, leaves story in various ways. Sometimes very climactically. I can say like sometimes it's like that's where we start getting into the first one of the five M's of mentors of
No.
memorable. Like sometimes a short term mentor makes a big impact on the protagonist or the story and shapes the story going forward or shapes the protagonist going forward. Um, and I mean, we got a few that we kind of like spitballed, and then one that we didn't spitball that comes to mind is Thor's
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, the man with the words that literally
shape
live
the
throughout,
story.
shape the story, shape the person, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean by memorable. Like they
hmm.
make that continuous impact on a character or the story or both in Thor's case. Um, so I mean, like we've got your Benny Marus, you got your Master Roshis, Kakashi comes to mind when it comes to memorable because that driving force there. You mentioned Skull Knight from Berserk.
He's not so much a mentor. I mean, he kind of. He's he's kind of like just like what is and what could he become in past, and just like laying some knowledge down for like warnings and things to look forward to, possibly for Guts later on in the series. But he's always there to save, in Guts and trying times, and he always lays down some sage advice. So I guess he's type of a mentor.
That's hey
Yeah.
Ryan. That
You know,
sounds
you're
mentor.
talking about they show
Yeah,
up, they, move
yeah.
the plot
That
along,
I'm
and they
saying
they
that's
peace out
pretty
for a
mentor
while.
adjacent. That
Yeah,
sounds
you're
pretty
right.
mentorish to
You're
me.
right. Mm.
Uh, and then I mean, like, just absolutely one of my goats, Kamina from Gurren Lagann.
Oh my god.
Uh, he makes a memorable impact, and I want to talk about more on like what kind of mentor he is because
Mm.
I know a lot of people are like, well, maybe he's not. Like, he doesn't really teach or like have sage advice, or it's like, well, not all mentors are those type of mentors, and I kind of want to get into that next.
Yeah.
And then just One Piece is absolutely polluted with mentors.
Too many.
They're everywhere. But I Ryan, couple from the top of your dome. Who can you think of?
Garp, Shanks, Rayleigh, um, who else? God, um, Doflamingo, maybe even in some respects. I don't know. It depends how
Shit,
you look at it,
that's.
right? You know what I mean?
I mean, he
Kaido,
did teach him some lessons. He did learn some
you
lessons
learn
from
some lessons, right? You learn some lessons. Goodness, yeah. I mean,
Doflamingo. He's
Mihawk,
like.
really in a way too, right?
I'm sorry. Respectfully. You said Doflamingo over cortisone. You fucking animal.
There's too many, man. There's too many cortisone. I mean, that's a real classic example, a perfect example, a wholesome example,
Yeah,
and God, yeah. There's, I mean,
a
oh,
memorable example, if you will.
a memorable example. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't call Gold D Roger a mentor, right? I don't. It never
See,
expanded in that way.
you're treading in waters right now, big dog.
Okay.
We don't know enough about him. All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
He probably look. Chances are he wasn't like just the way what we know right now and how he behaves. Nah, I don't think
Yeah.
so. But you never know. You
Yeah,
never
my
know.
man kind of went to beat his own drum, it seemed like, and that was that. Yeah, there's just so many. There's so many characters in One Piece. We could literally spend a show talking about One Piece and mentors if we really wanted to. But I
But we
love
can't.
that, but we
But we
can't.
can't.
We
We
can't.
absolutely cannot.
We need to diversify memorable mentors. of anime.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that sense, like, when it comes to, like, memorable mentors and then just, like, for just full disclosure, maybe you're, like, in your baby journey of anime, you're, a little bit older, maybe you remember, uh, this show called Boy Meets World,
Ah,
um,
yes.
and Mr. Feeney fully is one of the most memorable mentors, like, for especially our generation, but, I mean, if you go back and watch that show, he is just episode after episode dropping bars. He just does the writers did not let him rest. He was teaching his ass off. Um,
In
and a
every
lot of
situation.
teachers yeah, and I was gonna say, and a lot of teachers in that show did a lot more than what teachers would do. Just a quick aside, because I feel like we're gonna get to him, but I feel like they ripped off Onizuka with a mullet head.
Yeah?
I feel like they ripped off Onizuka there. Because he was just like, I used to have a troubled past too. I'm just like you, troubled past kid. And I'm like, hey, 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 Boy Meets World, I see you.
Yeah, yeah, no, GTO. GTO is such a good series.
And
Man,
it has some really I think there's some top tier memes that's come out of there too.
he's memorable.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I'll put him in the memorable category.
You think you put him
Absolutely.
in memorable? Okay, okay.
But he's gray area, right? Is he really a mentor, you know?
You look, you said this
Uh
before we started, and I'll say it again. You ticked all the boxes yourself. I didn't even have to argue. You ticked all the boxes. Because again,
Oh,
like, the staying power and like, think about, like, if like, we're older, dude, but you can
yeah.
bring up GTO, and there's some 20 somethings that are like, oh, GTO, I watched that. It was on my anime list. It's really high rated, so I watched it. It was really good. You're like, it's kind of cringe in some parts, but it's really good.
Uh,
And you just get, like, this impact on the greater community like that with shows like that because they become so, like, memorable, and because they get memed. They get memed a lot and become very memeable.
mm,
And I think that's another impact that, we see with the mentors is that they become very memeable, very recognizable, like, on site. Like, I think you have something on your shirt there, dude. You
oh,
got
yeah.
a
Got for the listeners at home, I got, basically a shirt with All Might on it, you know? I would definitely put him as memorable mentors of at least, the current anime generation. I would put him like, I mean, we got old school like Roshi, Master Roshi, or like King Kai. Those are memorable people. In the Shonen verse, I think All Might is you know, the evolution of that, of what a mentor is. Because Roshi was he was a mentor. He had a strong moral center when it came to things, but he's also the trope of being a real big pervert and showing, how to live life simple. And for Goku and Krillin, they learned a lot of technique and the Mr. Miyagi way of teachings he kind of did with the turtle shell in the back and making them walk around in their trainings with that. And um, who else could we put memorable? Piccolo. Piccolo's memorable to me. I mean, we're talking Dragon Ball, right? And yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So,
Anyone else
like,
comes to mind?
I mean, there's a lot that come to mind when it comes to memorable. Um, so what you want to remember about these memorable ones is, like, just, like, how much they ended up, like, shaping the protagonist
Mm,
and the story and pushing everything forward. Like, you already hit on Piccolo and Roshi because, like, in Dragon Ball, the mentors play a really big role where they help progress the story because in that specific story, it's all about, improving your techniques, getting stronger. And a big thing in martial arts is you can train on your own and you can get a certain amount of stronger, but it's much more productive for you to train with someone of your level or above you and learn
yeah.
from them. And I think that's what makes memorable mentors, like they have staying power, like the ones we listed, like ones that you guys are thinking about out there. Um, and speaking of you guys out there, there's some there's some mentors that kind of just like break the seal of their certain bubbles. There's certain mentors out there that you may know specifics about them, but on sight you would recognize them. Um, for me, that's always been Gintoki. Um, I could, if you put him in a lineup, you go, "What's this guy from?" I'm like, "Oh, that's that guy from Gintama, and his name's Gintoki." It's like, "Oh, what's he all about?" Don't know. He's just hilarious looking. Got a wooden sword. Really cool guy. Sometimes that's kind of where my knowledge stops. Because I just seen unlimited memes of Gintama. Just
Yeah,
so many.
yeah. I mean, I love their depiction of him because he kind of lives like sort of like the opposite of what a samurai really would be. He's the most laziest, unmotivated character in the series. Yet, like, it's hard to even call him a mentor, which he is, but like, it's his charismatic ability to draw people in and basically, I mean, one of his quotes always sticks with me. It's very like anti-samurai because anti-samurai is like having a beautiful death in some ways, and maybe that's a Hollywood way of thinking. But like he
Uh
says, if you have time to fantasize about a beautiful end, then just live beautifully till the end, and that is pretty much the essence of his character. You know, he runs a odd jobs business that he takes random jobs just trying to pay his rent. You know what I mean? Not exactly someone you would you would hold up here, you know what I mean, in terms of like, "Oh, that's who I wanna be my mentor," you know what I mean? But when it comes to push to shove, like, he's there and he gives you some sage ass advice and always comes through. Uh, it is a gag anime, everybody, so the jokes are, a mountain of plenty.
huh.
But he is definitely one of my more memorable modern mentors of this day and age. Yeah, Gintoki's a huge one. We kind of briefly talked about Kamina, and that's I would say recent, even though that anime has happened a long time ago now. You know, he's the he's the older brother you wish you had. He's the cool kid in high school you wish you were friends with. He was the backbone encouragement for Simone and every part of his journey and molding him into the man he, eventually became. Um, I mean, again, the quote, "Don't believe in yourself, believe in me who believes in you." How can you not remember that? It's like ridiculous, but also profound at the same time. I would put him as memeable and like memorable in a lot of ways. Yeah.
I think my when I think about Kamina and his relationship specifically with Simone, is kind of what hits him in that mentor area,
Mm.
because it's it becomes a do as I say, not as I do mentorship.
Yes.
Like he charges in recklessly because he wants Simone to watch him, not because he thinks it's the best play. He's like, well, this is all I can do. I'm not the smartest guy here, but
Yeah.
Simone will figure it out. And I just have to be his guiding light. I have to be his, shining star in front of him until he's ready to like pick the mantle up. And you don't really catch on to that immediately. You're thinking like, oh, this is like some protagonist shit. Like
Yeah.
Kamina is he's leading the charge, he's inspiring people, he's fucking making a rebellion, like just absolute like the craziest shit he's making it happen. And in his mind, and we find out later, in his mind, he was like, no, Simon was in front of me. Like, I was watching this kid do stuff I wouldn't even dream about doing, that I wouldn't even consider doing, getting inspired by that. And like, if he can do that, surely I can figure out how to do this thing that requires only muscle. Like, and that's kind of like that weird symbiotic sort of like mentorship of like, they're pushing each other forward and they're learning from each other. But when it comes to how he
Is
fits into the
Yeah.
greater scheme of mentors, like
It's very
Uh,
subtle, right? As you're saying, it's
yeah.
like he pretty much is puffing his chest out. It seems like he has it all together, but really, you know what I mean? He's learning from Simone as much as Simone's learning from him. And in the beginning of that anime, I almost thought he was a protagonist. You know what I mean? He's just his charismatic ability is just pulls you in. And you're unsure. You know what I mean? So, man, that's a great note. But they're the very symbiotic relationship that you don't see in very mentorship anime. You know, it's very most of the time clear cut. You know what I mean? There's like a Jiraiya or a Naruto. Like there's such a big difference of wisdom gap, age, etc. So um, I guess Gojo kind of fits in that category, except the ability is completely different. But he's kind of younger, right?
Hmm.
He's kind of a goofball. His morality might be a little shaky at times, and you're unsure where it stands. But to those three, you know what I mean. He definitely leaves an example to I wouldn't say live after, but something for people to aspire to be, I suppose. Um,
He definitely kind of like he he kind of is like that. I think a perfect middle between like if you had like Kamina on one end and
mm,
you had All Might on the other end. He's like in the middle of that. Of like
yeah,
All
that's true.
Might knows he needs to teach the next generation, and he has to continue to be the pillar until the next generation can come and take over, yada, yada, yada. But he does so in a very self sacrificing sort of way. Uh, and then you have Kamina on the other end that's like, I'm not sure who's picking up my torch. I want it to be Simone, but I'm just going to figure it out as I go. And he seems very, like you said, he seems like he knows what's going on, but he clearly doesn't.
Yeah,
And Gojo's kind of like that perfect middle of like he knows he's the pillar, but he doesn't know how long that's gonna last,
right.
like at
He,
all.
I mean, since Gojo, I would imagine among those three you just mentioned is probably the most selfish
Yeah,
mentor among them all by
because he want
tenfold.
he
Yeah.
definitely wanted someone to take the mantle from him. Like he doesn't want to be just the strongest and the pillar
Mm,
of the Jujutsu Society. He wants that freedom that Kamina has, but he also wants the purpose that All Might has. And in
exactly.
his own personal turmoil there, he sort of teaches like our three protagonists, like how to not get caught up in that, how to live, how they want to live and to die how they want to die. Um, and I think that's really impactful. And he's also just an absolute fucking shithead. Like Gojo's the shittiest shithead that has ever shitheaded an anime. And I think that's what makes him so like just on sight. You're like, oh, I know who this guy is. I can hear his voice in my head, and I wish I didn't. It's just
He's
awful.
Yeah, he's awful, 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 and and the memes
Oh yeah,
for him alone, he he fits in memorable and memeable, but like I almost want to say more memeable than memorable. That's hard, right? Because the
yeah,
memes are
but
so
like,
plenty of Gojo. Um,
his core thing. Come on,
yeah,
his core
yeah,
thing.
you're right,
It's
you're right,
right
you're right.
there.
Yeah,
I have him in so many of these lists, but his core thing is just mischievous. Like he can't help it.
mm,
Like,
yeah,
he knows he can't get caught, so that makes him more, like, sassy and memeable, and he just does things to the beat of his own drum. I mean, his first interaction with Yuji as a mentor is like, "Hey, watch me beat this guy up as
yeah.
a practical showing of how, jujutsu sorcery works." And it's
And
great.
with that, you don't know if he's gonna be a mentor because he seems the most selfish motherfucker out there. If he's taking Itadori in just to like have the opportunity to fight Sukuna later on, or or what he's doing really. What's his long game? You don't know at that like early stages of Jujutsu Kaisen. You don't know what he's about, and until you learn more about him, obviously. But he's very much, you don't they don't do this anime very often, like where the mentor is probably one of the most powerful beings
Yeah.
in the series and kind of stays that way because they do that with All Might, but they take it away very fast, right? He
Mhm.
passes away to Midoriya almost instantly. And with Gojo, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, how can you outshine someone of that caliber? And then obviously the series happens. But yeah, man. So memeable, right? Memes. There's so many memes to all these characters. Um, Gojo is starting Gojo. Spoilers, everybody. Probably the biggest one that's happened.
Manga spoilers, manga
Yeah, manga
spoilers.
spoilers is nah, I'd win. You know what I mean? I mean,
Man, that created a whole brain rot culture of itself.
yeah, yeah,
That
absolutely.
was that was a fun era of fucking anime brain rot.
People who loved and people who hated him, and it all worked together in tandem. My
Yeah, not I'd
goodness.
win. Not I'd win is wow. They say you can't bring a horse to water or whatever. God, just everyone swarmed, and it's just and now it's just become like the meme response for when you're like in a for sure losing scenario, and I love that. I love it. Yeah, it's so good. You have your and I mean like just like the meme responses, like you always see uh you'll see a bunch of what's the one that just Freerun just came out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like for like just all of what like 2023, it was just only Freerun response gifts to
Memes.
shit.
Yeah.
If you're looking at any anime content, that was everywhere. Um and Freerun is just like I don't know. That's when I was like, yeah, you know, she's a modern mentor for sure. Cuz she's again, I the thing that I say about modern mentors is like kind of like you said about Gojo, they're kind of like in the thick of it with the like other protagonists. They're in there like teaching them stuff, but also they throw hands or also they're like solving the problem with them. They're not like in the background, like, yes, use all the knowledge I gave you and I'll sit back here and eat a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Mm.
She's very much the main character mentor
Yeah.
in that way. And we don't have that very often in anime, at least, where the main character is the mentor. And you know, with her age and what the series is about, it's definitely tidings of teachings of what it means to live for different types of people. And she's even learning from other people in her life and her past party members, other, you could call them mentors. One mentor, particularly for her with the magic stuff. But yeah, just learning from humans and is such a plethora of just memeable moments that are hilarious. I mean, literally, you know, the blue haired guy, what's his name? I forget his name.
I forgot his name.
I forgot his name.
The hero guy.
The hero
Yeah,
guy.
blue hair. Uh blue hair hero guy is his name now.
Yeah, Himmel the hero. That's
There you
right.
go.
There you go. You know, it's so much memeable content about him seeing on the net. It's just that series. Another one of those Jujutsu Kaisen taking over the meme sphere of 2023, 2024, probably
Mhm.
beyond, honestly. Now that the series are over, what else have you seen come to the forefront of memeable things? I mean, there doesn't be necessarily like mentor stuff, but animes are becoming more memeable now because it's becoming widely
Oh yeah,
popular in
for sure.
culture.
For sure. I mean,
Uh,
like, I'm sure if you're keep up with the convention scene at all, there was the Nanami meme that was going around when
oh
that
yeah,
episode came out.
yeah.
And man, do you remember being that horny when you were that young? I was trying to think like I wanted to talk about this specific meme and think about like, okay, so what was the one when we were like, you know, in our 20s, you know, late teens? Like, what was the one that we were like, oh yeah, like that I want to recreate that scene? I'm like, I just at the top of my head, I can't think of anything that like kind of hit like that hit like critical mass so quick. And it was so funny to see like the reactions of people like doing it, and then the people like walking by like the fuck. Uh, it was definitely one of those things where it's like I didn't know we could get to that level in the anime community
No.
publicly.
Yeah.
I was sure that
Yeah.
was like a at convention sort of behind closed
Only
doors
thing.
type of thing.
Uh,
uh, that was that
that's good.
again. Laughs. JJK mentors bringing the laughs, carrying it.
God, in that respect,
Yeah.
talking about mentors, would you call Turbo Granny a
No.
mentor? No?
No, I won't.
Okay.
I
All
won't.
right. All
Hey,
right.
I said another one. His name shall not be spoken in this episode. No, absolutely not. Also,
No.
no,
Starts with a O.
it does not. It doesn't start with
Okay.
anything. It
All right.
doesn't. It starts and it's ended, and it never is spoken on this fucking episode. We talk about him some other episode. Uh,
It is his year, by the way.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I
It's
know.
year.
You can give all the hints you want, Ryan. I'm not fucking saying that
All
guy's
right.
name. Uh, listen, I'll say this. When it comes to that trope of like a mentor being uh an antagonist or, an impeding character of some kind, I also find that really interesting. Cuz it changes up the dynamic between, the main characters. Uh and you kind of are thinking the whole time like, "Oh, where's it going to go?" So it's one of those like you're bending, you're bending the role of the mentor a little bit. And I love when you bend the role of the mentor. I love when they're a little outside of the norm when it comes to mentoring. Uh, and I think that like those characters make for great memes
Mm.
too. So it's like you
Yeah.
kind of get the best of both worlds of like you get a meme, but then also this character is just like so out of pocket sometimes. Um, like Reagan,
Yeah.
like Reagan
Yeah.
from Mob Psycho. He's just the con man. Like, there's been a lot of con men in anime. Like,
But
we're not
he
gonna
is the
sit here
con
they
man.
but like he you're rooting for him. You want him to succeed. You want him to con everybody because he's just so charismatic. It's like it's kind of like the whole thing with like when you're watching Lupin the Third, you're like, he's breaking the law. He's not in the right. Uh, but I'm rooting for him because he's fucking he's the fucking Rizzler, man. He's got charisma for days. It's great. It's great. Absolutely love Reagan. And I love how layered he is of a character. It's not like the deepest fucking character writing ever, but I love that he's not just a con man.
Yeah, he
In
has
the
Mob's
grand scheme. Yeah,
intentions, first and foremost. He's very much a mentor to Mob, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's it's a really kind of like I think comparable to Kamina and Simone, like that dynamic.
That's a good
Uh,
pull. Modern
where he's like, "Hey, do as I say, not as I
as I
do,
do. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm aware I'm kind of a scumbag, but you also need to get a backbone." So very similar dynamic, just different execution, right? Like Reagan isn't rushing into a situation; he's plotting, he's scamming, he's he's getting
Mischievous.
he's getting mischievous, man.
That's
He's
her
figuring
them.
his way out.
Yeah.
He's figuring a way out. Uh, and I just love him for that. And I love that this is like this is probably one of my favorite characteristics in mentors, if I'm being honest. I love when they're just like either a little scummy or a little
A
like or they,
little
like you said,
burnt, right?
you can't really
Yeah.
figure out what their motive is. I love that shit.
Other side of the toast is a little burnt, and you thinking it's all one way, but little do you know, um, this next person I wanted to mention, he's memeable because I we're talking about memes, kind of popped in my head. One Punch Man, Saitama. He never wants to be a mentor, but Geno so badly imposes it upon him that he kind of is, and he's so much like avoiding responsibility to do any real mentorship because he doesn't want to do that. It's not his thing. He is just a simple hero for hire or whatever his
Yeah.
words are. But yeah, again, memeable. When that came out, we've seen a billion memes. Okay, is just one comes to mind. Um, the simple his simple words and basically
I
responses
mean,
are huge.
yeah, I mean, like, who's this bratty lost child? And he's pointing
Hmm.
over to Tornado, like,
Hilarious,
it's so great.
amazing, and she gets
And
so
I
pissed.
see people still using that one when
I
they're
know.
referring to their girlfriend or their best friend or, like, they're like, "Who is this sassy lost child?"
Yeah,
And they're a
and then
whole woman.
she proceeds to, like, lift him up. He's like, "Whoa, I'm floating, cool," and she gets even more pissed off, and it's an amazing segment. But yeah, definitely, I would say he's a mentorship once people, like, finally figure out, like, how amazing he actually
And
is, and they c
I think it's really cool that you bring up Saitama because he's more, like, reluctant like you said, he's reluctantly
Mhm,
mentoring Genos. Like, he's never, like, very directly teaching him anything.
right.
Like,
Well,
the
the
that first, like, sparring match.
yeah, yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah.
I saw your eyes
Well, no,
twinkle.
I had a different thought. I had a different thought. He actually teaches once. He tells people, like, how he attained his power and what to do, and they
Oh
think it's the
god.
most bullshit response. It's like 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, like running like 10K
100-kilometer run,
run every day,
and
and they're just like, "That's
I
bullshit."
sleep with the AC off during the summer and the heat off
I
during
love
the
it. I
winter.
love it.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's and that again, memeable. It's in other shows as a meme.
Yeah.
Like, that hits the greater anime community as, like, "How did you attain your power?" And then the meme response comes out, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups,
Exactly.
100 kilometer
It's the
run.
satire of it all, right? That makes it hilarious because he is, but also he's making fun of that type of thing at the
Yeah,
same time, which you don't get very often in anime. He's kind of like a Gintoki sorta, because like Gintoki doesn't really show Kagura or Shinpachi like too much, like how to like level up, but like he kind of just teaches them more like real hard life lessons and basically giving sage advice of like how to handle life. And same thing with Saitama. He never tells Genos, "Hey, I know you're robotic, but look, you just need to punch harder."
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Um,
think later on, and, this is always gonna be spoiler talk on this podcast, guys, so you gotta get
yeah,
used to it.
gotta
We're not
deal
gonna
with it,
sit here
guys.
and handhold. You get your ass out there and you watch and you read some goddamn
Mm,
Japanese media
exactly.
right now.
2025, become a degenerate and consume all media. That's what we're asking of you. That's your New Year's resolution. That's me to you. All right. Consume more anime.
I think Saitama being like that reluctant mentor and just, over time realizing that's kind of his role with Genos, but also realizing they have a deeper connection outside of that mentor student thing they're friends. Like they're friends. And that's a thing that like a lot of mentor mentee things in our generation kind of were missing is like yes there was like a personal connection with some of these mentors, like growing up, like, you know, the Western ones we mentioned of like Master Splinter, he was clearly like a father figure for the turtles, and Mr. Feeney was like that sort of, he was that authority figure that they needed in their life. And those are like very specific relationships, but like you never really get like brothers mentorship until, we get to the 2010s, the
You're right. Yeah,
2020s.
doesn't really happen.
Um, and that's kind of like, in my opinion, was a lot more relatable for me was I had a lot of, like you mentioned earlier, Ryan, like a lot of friends that mentored me, that helped me develop. And I think a lot of modern anime mentors kind of follow that rhythm more often than not of like that older sibling sort of mentor dynamic.
It is feeling that way
Um,
now. Yeah,
yeah, like they're like closer to your age and they understand what you're going through because they're closer to it and
relatable.
things like that. But I mean, you do still get uh some great mentors these days, especially how you're starting to say like the modern landscape too. But we can't not talk about like Kakashi.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we still haven't talked about Kakashi.
He's a mix between
Um,
old and new in a
yeah,
lot of ways, you would say,
I
right?
I feel like he's more or less the blueprint.
Mm,
Like, he really came out of the gate sort of like, "I'm a goofy guy reading porno mags while my
yeah.
students try to fight me.
Yeah,
Haha, I'm so quirky and funny."
that Master Roshi perverted, like, mentor trope, but, like, kinda toning it down a little bit
A lot.
and, a lot a lot, but, until we get to someone else in that series, but, yeah, you're right, that's a great pool. He is definitely probably the blueprint for modern anime mentorships,
Yeah,
Kakashi.
because the other guy, who's also mischievous, but not
Who
in the
said
way that
rights? Said smut go ahead, sorry.
no, no, you were on it. You got the pulse. You know where I'm going. But yeah, Jiraiya, like, Jiraiya. 'Cause it's Jiraiya. Come on.
Yeah, Jiraiya. Man, what a
Pervy Sage, that's his name in canon, Pervy Sage. Um, and he did, like what you said, he taught Naruto a lot of life lessons. Yes, he helped him become stronger. Yes, he taught him a lot of tactical ninja bullshit, but he taught him to just be a guy, to just live, to just enjoy your experiences and to write them down if you want to, or go to a village next door because you want, like, not to live as a weapon. And
yeah,
that's so good. That's so fucking good for our protagonist to get messages like that of you're not just the thing that you're good at, or you're not just the person that people see, and you can be more if
you're
you
more than
want
a
to.
ninja,
Yeah.
like, you're more than just your way of ninja, you're a person, and you this is how we live, and yeah, you're great that's perfect. Jiraiya, man, a huge one for me growing up, I think out of, like, all the spoilers, this is old spoilers, guys,
Spoilers from 10 years ago.
I think that was the first time I might have cried in anime,
Oh
is when
shit.
it was he died. That was so impactful, and, you know, just that whole pain sequence in him and sending the message and the touching on his Naruto's shoulder as he is passing away, and there's some poeticness to like his name and being a frog in the pond in a big ocean sink to the bottom. There's so much to that character and so many layers throughout the Naruto-verse. I looked at it's weird for me to say, but when Naruto was coming along and then Jiraiya came along, it very much felt like a Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker type of feeling to me.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but that is my closest pull to those two characters when they started like obviously, what we
I
get for
mean,
in the Star Wars verse is much more shallow. Whenever a mentor is getting too much of a uh, of a mentee, they're always like, "Hey, listen, I'm a Force ghost. I only got so long to talk to you, but I gotta go." You know what I mean? You don't have that in anime, so
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head as far as comparison. That's probably why it hit harder for you. Is that it was that thing we already sort of knew of, old Ben Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, but it went deeper.
much deeper.
It wasn't just, "Hey, I knew your dad, and that's all you get from me, and I'm gonna teach you some Jedi shit. Oops, I'm dead and a ghost." It
Yeah.
was more like, "Hey, the village is asking me to come back to train you. I don't know if I wanna do that." And then, I trained the 4th Hokage, your dad,
Mhm.
and I know it's your dad, but I'm gonna pretend like I don't know it's your dad. And it's just like, he had such a pivotal role in the story too, of when Naruto was his lowest, he was like, "That's who I need to go to figure out where I'm going next." He's like, "My next objective can only be done if I go to Jiraiya." Um, and he became, like you said, he became such a big part of the story. And I think in the more modern stories, we see that a lot of the mentors taking a bigger role, like we were talking about earlier. Like, they take a bigger role in the story. I mean, Frieren is the protagonist, but also the mentor to those 2 up and coming heroes. Um, got your All Mights, who literally, like, his actions shape the first, like, quarter of the story, um, up until, he literally passes the mantle on to the next generation. There's just so many, like, good interpretations of that mentor trope that have kinda been, like, what I didn't expect mentors to become this complicated, and I really like it.
I love it. Yeah, because you're right. They're usually just really black and white. Teach me the unteachable thing, and allow me progress as a in my martial arts or superpower or whatever. And now it's so much deeper, more complex, multi-layered, multifaceted. Like I know this is kind of older because Vinland Saga is, for when it happened, at least in the manga happened. We're talking about meaningful, modern, meaningful, kind of going on the edge there. But with Jiraiya, but like Askeladd, wherever you think about him, he is a very meaningful, impactful mentor, whether you like it or not, dad like figure for Thorfinn in this fucked up, weird symbiotic situation, I
Yeah.
dare say. Um, he hits you with a lot of knowledge as the reader that Thorfinn necessarily is unaware of, right? That's a show. Well, that's a character that it's more than just an anime at that point. It's like life lessons being taught to you. Like he says, someone's a slave. Someone's always a slave to something. There's something I remember him saying is that he's very much right. In Thorfinn's journey as being that mentor, you know, Thorfinn is a slave to vengeance, then later on a slave to guilt, and the cycle continues. And in a lot of ways, he learns from that in the most hardest way possible, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah.
Askeladd is very much as a not a clear cut mentor, a very I don't know, different type of mentor, written
Really,
character.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really blurs the line. Like, he blurs the line with mentor because you're not immediately sure of his intentions by keeping
Hmm.
Thorfinn around and doing what he does. Um, and I mean, you could say that for a lot of these mentors in the modern anime sphere of like, I mean, just even thinking of like one that's kind of like one that goes out there is that guy in ReZero that agrees to take Subaru in. The God, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But like in ReZero, he takes him in and he's like, "Yeah, you can stay in my mansion. It's the craziest thing that could happen." And then later you figure out he knows that he's been touched by this witch and he's a fucking like cultist basically, and that's the whole reason why he let him be there. And it's such a rug pull of like, "Oh, I'll teach you all these things because that's how I'm gonna get closer to my like deity that I worship."
The
Um,
fuck.
yeah, it's a great rug pull, but that whole time he never plays his hand. He's always on his side. He's always helping him figure out stuff. And then when you get to that part, you're like, "Oh, that's insane. That's crazy." Um, and you get that in a lot of these anime where you have like these really sort of like meaningful characters that are just there and consistent and make a huge, huge impact, not just on the protagonist, but sometimes on like you mentioned, like Jiraiya was the first time like you felt some genuine emotion and cried during like that's huge, and I think that
Because
kind
like
of
you agree
speaks.
with him,
Y-
right? I think
yeah,
one of
yeah,
the reasons because a lot of we're talking about. Well, I was talking about like a lot of the mentorships are kind of like black and white in a lot of like the previous anime. Not all, obviously. I'm sure people can just list examples where I'm wrong, but like the majority of it, is very much a black and white relationship. And you don't go on that journey like we did with Jiraiya that long and really get to love his character the same way. And sorry, go ahead as you were saying.
no, that's kind of what I was hitting on. And I mean, there's a lot of relationships like that that were few and far between, I think, when we were sort of growing up with anime specifically. I think that was kind of like the bread and butter in Western media was like trying to make sure these mentor characters were the most meaningful.
Mm.
And that they really did have either like a really pivotal character changing defining moment or a big impact on the story. Um, and I fail to think about like when we're coming up with this list of like which ones were not meaningful, which would have been an interesting way to interpret
Yeah,
this
that's
last
a
one,
really absolutely.
but a lot of them play, an obnoxiously large role in the story,
And to be clear here, guys, we it doesn't go without saying that most of the people we're kind of mentioning here are kind of like in the shonen spirit because it's such a staple, such a trope, such a thing. And some things were mentioned that are different, seinen or etc. But also mostly male dominated. There is plenty of female mentors out there in the anime spirit, but not as much as I would hope for. And hopefully that change is going on forward. But just to name a couple so I don't miss out on some people. One early on was Genkai from Yu Yu Hakusho, I'm old, Yusuke. Huge,
ooh, that hurts.
young looking, lady. And then you got people like Izuma Curtis from Full Metal Alchemist, who is a huge foundation for the Elric brothers, teaching them alchemy, martial arts, ways of life. She's very stern, tough love type of mentor, but I would say that she's very empathetic with the boys and what they were basically trying to go and do and how they got trying to get their mother back and stuff and why they're in the circumstance they're in. Um, there isn't too many female mentors in at least the shonenscape that that I could really pull from. Yeah, there's a billion teachers in Naruto and stuff like that, but like real solid time you get to stick around with, there isn't too many that I can pull from.
Yeah, and I mean, like, when we talk about stuff, obviously, we're talking from our own experience,
Mhm.
and, t look, fucking I'm a guy, alright? I'm a dude. I'm a dude guy, alright? There's no confusion for me. I know what I am, and him bringing up those specific examples, like, those shaped a lot of how my brain interprets a
Yeah,
good mentor character. Like, they're in my top 5 easily without any sort of pandering. Like,
absolutely.
Genkai is so way the fuck up there. Um, Her impact on my favorite story arc in anime, period, full stop, um, nostalgia included as a factor. Um, and she's just a unit, a whole unit of a character before she is fully Yusuke's mentor. He went through the trouble of going Genkai as a whole character.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I don't know how you feel about Genkai specifically, but that's just like my feelings on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess another one I can pull, I totally forget about Tsunade. She's very much a mentor in a lot of ways for the female ninja of the Naruto world. And you get to hear her story and her teach Sakura. And I just wish there were more stories like that in shonen anime. And hopefully later on, we're talking about
I
modern
mean,
day mentors,
yeah.
but just more of that. The readership is like 50-50 at this point. Let's make it happen. I would
Yeah,
love
and I mean,
to
like,
branch out.
I wanna give flowers if we're gonna talk about that. I wanna give
Hmm.
flowers to Black Clover because
Oh yes.
Mario Leona Vermillion, is my favorite character in that whole fucking story, and she comes in as the, like, advanced teaching mentor of, like, "Oh, you think you're pretty good at magic or whatever the fuck? You're actually pretty ass at it. I'm gonna show you how you could be good." Um, and it's just that. She has this whole, like,
I am them.
Kenpachi this very Kenpachi, like, I can overcome anything because 'cause I'm strong, but also all of the, like, compassion a mentor's supposed to have. Like, yeah, it's the tough love thing that Genkai does, and yeah, she's unstoppable like Kimpachi whenever she fights. But in the training, it's like it's very much like I did this stuff because this is how you do it. This is how you get strong, and I'm gonna teach you what you need to know right now, and shut up and listen to me. Um, there's something great about those types of characters that show up and they're like, "This is you're bad at a thing. I'm gonna teach you how to be good at a thing because I'm the best at the thing." I think Biscuit fits under that too
Oh
when
yeah,
we're
Hunter x Hunter.
learning like the advanced applications of Nen. Uh, that's really good. Aizawa when he's coming and he's like, "Hey, you think you know how your quirk works? You don't. You're stupid. This is what you need to do to, really learn how your quirk works. We're gonna do this training, and then oh, you thought you're doing pretty good. We're gonna do another training because you still are shit with your quirk. We're gonna do it again. Um, and I love that. And those are all like really meaningful things in the stories that we need, especially these shonen stories where it's like battle focused, but also like Koro Sensei. Koro Sensei in Assassination Classroom.
Yeah,
Uh that that's peak mentor for me. And I really wanted to wait to talk about him because all these other ones are great. They're
there's
all
too many. There's too
they're
many,
they're so
man.
great.
It's so
They're so
hard.
great.
It's so
But
hard to get
there's
them all in an
one
episode.
there's one that stands above all of them for me personally. I don't think it's factual, but I know like
It's
if
your
he's not in
opinion.
your top if it's not in your top 3 though. If Koro Sensei is not in your top 3, like it's hard to hit that note of like a school setting and me give a shit about it. It's
Yeah,
really hard to do
very hard
that.
to do that, and they do that successfully.
It's
Absolutely.
so good.
Assassination Classroom. Good pull.
Yeah, it's such a great way to engage people in a story. And he's just a fun character throughout, up and down, interesting up and down, and like, the very predictable tragic backstory happens, but that's like that's just tying the bow on the present that you've already given me. Like, uh, just what a wonderful way to write a mentor character and kill them off appropriately. That's right, I spoiled the fucking story. I did, and I'll do it again. Go read it. It's great. I cried a lot. I cried for a while. I still cry when I rewatch it, actually.
Go watch it. Well, we had a whole talk about mentors, the 5 M's. We made it to the end. The 5 M's for
Wait, wait, wait,
2025.
wait, wait,
Go
hold
ahead,
on,
sorry.
wait.
Yep, I can wait.
Silver's Rayleigh. Okay, we're good.
Okay, good, yeah. Anytime you bring up a One Piece character, I gotta talk about it, alright? So we're not done yet, hold on. So, Silver's Rayleigh, listen, he's a as a mentor, he's kinda cut and dry, you know? For Luffy, he is very much someone Luffy respects because of his status. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah,
And maybe because he's a cool old dude, probably in Luffy's words. Um, but he's very much, I'm gonna teach you the thing. I'm gonna teach you this hockey you never, learned before, and we're gonna focus on it. I'm gonna teach you how to do it. But, you know, as a character, besides the mentorship, he's just amazing to see whenever he's on screen. And
yeah,
yeah, so good, so good. But yeah, definitely Luffy's mentor, right? Luffy has little shreds of mentorship in every parts of his life, every segment of his life and his story. But like Silver's Rayleigh is probably the biggest in terms of him like literally learning the thing and doing the thing and
yeah.
overcoming the thing. But my only argue with that, Oda, is you didn't make him that complex yet. Like he has when he is on screen, he shines, and he has a lot of would I call it advice? No, it's kind of like go to video and drum. You're gonna figure out the thing whether you like it or not. Type of mentality. And Silver's Rayleigh, in terms of like this list, he's definitely not in my top 5. Controversial.
Well,
Yeah.
well, yeah. He's in my top 5. Um,
He's in your
I
top 5?
love, yeah, I love everything that he carries with him and all the and everything that means to the story, and like why he chose Luffy and why he hasn't done anything since what they did, and that those I think it fully encapsulates why I love One Piece so much is that you give me this wonderful, cool package, but I want to know what's inside. Let me open it. Let me know all the stuff inside, please. I just want to open the package. Um,
Maybe you convinced me. Maybe nothing in this world happens by accident. Because everything happens for a reason. Our destiny slowly takes form. D. Maybe that's what it's all about.
yeah, and
Um,
I'm glad I could teach you something.
Thank you.
It's great that as my in my eyes as my mentor that I was
Uh-huh.
finally able to teach you something.
Feels good. Well, hopefully you guys learned something from this episode. We thank you all for listening and watching and giving us a like and subscribe. All those things you can basically find us in every social media other than X, probably. Um, so that's it. Have a happy new year, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. This is Ryan and D saying, "Fill you later." No, that's
Fill
that didn't
fill you
that
later.
didn't
Okay.
sound right. Okay.
9. We're almost there. We're
We're
almost
almost there.
we're
Okay.
almost we got something.
All right.
Fill you fill you
Fill you later. That sounds
sounds
nasty.
questionable. It's so dirty, a dirty man.
Yeah. Well, okay. With that, we're out.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, bye, bye. God, fill you later. Diabolical.